Good morning. Hey, was that a hoot last Sunday or what? Services in the park and a heck of a picnic. We had like 80 people there. It was a great time. Weather was perfect. I guess we got it. Did we get it on YouTube? Okay.
What?
Hello. Did we get it on YouTube last? I know you tried.
I didn't get you on YouTube.
Oh, well, that's fine. Who cares about that?
Remember we said there was the wind?
Yeah.
But as soon as Janice starts talking, the wind goes away.
Yeah. Can't imagine why I was blowing when I was doing something.
It was hysterical. I'm going, why? I mean, there's a lot during the drumming.
Uh-huh.
But because we're drumming, nobody cares.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah, we got those.
Good. Good. So you people on YouTube all over the world got to see the silliness of us in the park having fun and maybe even eating. I don't know.
I didn't
So
get anything with
that's okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay. 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 New stuff for Jan to work on. Fun stuff. More T-shirts. I'm a postal worker. Of course I drink. I changed my car horn to sound like gunshots. People get out of my way much faster now. Every time I think things can't get any worse, there's an election. We might need to all get one of those. So never piss off a woman. They remember stuff that hasn't even happened yet. Let's stop sending money to other countries and let them hate us for free. Dear Algebra, please stop asking us to find your ex. She's never coming back, and don't ask why. So, I don't always pass slow drivers, but when I do, I check to see if they look as stupid as they drive. Is that why people look at me? I don't drive slow. I just drive the speed limit, which in some people's minds is too slow. So, Ruger is coming out with a new pistol in honor of our senators and House members. It will be called the Congressman. It doesn't do anything, and you can't fire it. So. Alrighty. Until modern farming methods began to produce a surplus, life actually depended on the annual harvest. Small grains were the staple items in many cultures. Among the Anglo-Saxons, no ceremony was more important than the threscan, T-R-H-R-E-S-C-A-N, during which men, women, and children eagerly trod on piles of dry wheat to separate the grain from the stalks. Upon stepping into the entrance of a house, most people halted to wipe their feet against the big block of wood or stone that marked the doorway. This operation bore more than a little resemblance to the shuffling of feet on the threshing floor. From this origin, the sill where one repeats the foot movement reminiscent of the ancient harvest is still termed the threshold of a home. So, now you know. Unless you're really smart and knew already. So, that's possible. Meatloaf's original name was Marvin Lee Aday. Queen Latifah was Dana Owens. Robert Blake. Michael James Vicencio Gubitosi. Robert Blake. Stevie Wonder was Stevland Morris. Tom Cruise. Thomas Mapothere IV. Wow. Whoopi Goldberg was Karen Johnson. With a C and an A-R-Y-N. So, things happening at the Divine Fellowship. It's full. I mean, there's like a few days that stuff isn't happening. So yesterday we had an ARE thing. I understand that was kind of interesting. It was like looking at a younger Janice. So, because she just was saying all kinds of things that Jan would normally say. So it's kind of fun. So, Emotion Code Qigong always starts at 9:15 here. Christopher is going to be doing next Sunday. So the Emotion Code, Drumming Circle with Daryl, I assume that will happen. Interchange on Wednesday, Intuitive Tarot, an ARE meets on Thursday. Living by Design, a human design workshop by Crystal is on Friday, and Saturday is Art and Soul, and Award, Josie. Speaking of Josie, flip the switch. Yep.
Okay, good. Good morning. When I gave a talk in September, I talked about David Hawkins, not David Hawkins, but David Hawkins. And he's done a map of consciousness and a 100 house. And this afternoon, I'm going to be showing a DVD by him to explain what our emotions do to our physical body. As he goes through this whole map, and that's a donation. If you come at that 1:30 this afternoon, it's just a little over an hour. It's very informative. If you can't come this afternoon, I'm also doing it a week from Tuesday the 27th. We'll be showing the DVD at 6:30. So either time if you'd like to come. My problem this afternoon and on Tuesday is that I don't know how to work that equipment up there. So is there anyone that plans to come this afternoon that can work that equipment? Okay then.
Think about it and get with Josie.
And then this coming Saturday, and October 1st on Saturday, I'm getting the A-Work classes again. And that's to teach you how to resolve an emotion in someone else, not in yourself, in someone else. We always need other people. And so the A-Work process is to teach you how to resolve that. This is a flyer, it's in the back. And there's also registration forms back there. And something new, if you've been to the class and you want to come, it's only $35. We have new flashcards. We just had them printed a couple days ago, and I'm thrilled with them. So this will make the process real easy for you, because it takes you through each step, what to say and what to do. So we hope you join us. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a couple patron saints by the name of George Carlin and John Lennon. I bet you didn't know that. So nobody else in the world has these two for a patron saint. I will guarantee you. So, John, your inside is out and your outside is in. I know it's part of a song. You know, I don't know what it means either, but it was on there. And George, I want to live. I don't want to die. That's the whole meaning of life, not dying. I figured that out by myself in the 3rd grade. So. Why is the time of day with the slowest traffic called rush hour? Really? I mean, it's like, who did that? Why isn't there mouse-flavored cat food? And why didn't Noah swat those 2 mosquitoes? Hey. Did I do this one? I didn't do this one. All right. Things that make you go, Andrew Jackson. Take time to deliberate, but when the time for action arrives, stop thinking and go in. No one is more liable to make mistakes than the man who acts only on reflection. We're drowning in information and starving for knowledge. I did that one from somewhere else, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but still a good one. And an elderly woman died last month. Having never married, she requested no male pallbearers. In her handwritten instructions for her memorial service, she wrote, "They wouldn't take me out while I was alive. I don't want them to take me out when I'm dead." A police recruit was asked during his exam, "What would you do if you had to arrest your mother?" Answer, "Call for backup." Sunday school teacher asked her class why Joseph and Mary took Jesus with them to Jerusalem. A small child replied, "They couldn't get a babysitter." Naturally, of course. Okay. I actually remember what song we're going to sing. It's actually kind of hard to sing too, but it's a cool song, and you probably didn't know the words for it anyway. It's Angel by Sarah McLachlan.
See you soon. Make it stop. Thank you. Good morning. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Let me just take a second to behold you. I love this whole process. Some people get a little uncomfortable with that because, oh, don't look at me. But I'm here to tell you that you're awesome. You suited up, you showed up, you're doing the deal. You may not be perfect at it, but who is? And so by just looking at you, or looking into your eyes, my soul acknowledges your soul and the journey that you've taken to get here, this place at this time in your life. God knows where you've been, what you've done. Thank God knows. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And just to acknowledge that by looking into your eyes and letting you know that I see you. I see you. You're not invisible. You have deep value. I respect and appreciate you for being here and what you've gone through. And at the same time, oh, hi, Phil, I didn't behold you. There you are, I behold you. I behold you, Phil. A little uncomfortable, maybe, for some. And as I beheld you, you beheld me. And as I feel that I've been beheld, that ignites within me, or reignites within me, my sense of purpose. It's easy to get caught up in life. And so we love and value these precious moments of respite where we can take care of ourselves spiritually and where we can really just be here. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. Just be here. That's a wonderful thing. When I was preparing for today, it's like, my week looks like this Sunday afternoon. It's like, oh, that was great, God, thanks. Yay, wow, we did a really good job. What do we talk about next? What next? What do I need to talk about next? So every day, what's up? What do we talk about? What do we need to talk about? What's important? How can I be of service? And so by the time I get the church email out, it was like, I still don't know. So you hadn't yet prayed and asked for guidance about something, apparently. So I sent that email out and said, it's okay to pray about this. Ask for guidance, because that's where I get my information. And then right after that, I had several conversations with different people, and several things came up to talk about. And at first they seem a little unrelated, but I think they flow together really, really well. So here's the three things. One was prayer, one was patterns of thought, and one was betrayal. And betrayal, let's chat about that for just a minute. Okay, we're not going to chat about that for a second. We're going to go to prayer first. I'm going to teach you a new way to pray. Not that you don't know how to pray, and your prayer is probably just fine, but I got another way to pray that might make your life miraculous. I want to share that with you. So hold on to that thought. So now let's talk about betrayal. I think betrayal is one of the hardest traumas we have to live through, because if someone passes away, they're gone from view. And that's grief, and that's sorrow, and that's hardship, and that's terrible. It's really hard. Betrayal, on the other hand, the person's still living. They're still around. The wound is still there. The grief is ongoing. But the hardest part about betrayal is we don't get it. We don't know why. Have you ever experienced that? Here's somebody you counted on, you trusted, and they betray you, and it's like, why? And half the time they can't tell you why. They don't know why. And that engenders all kinds of feelings and judgments that we have about that. It's painful. It's terribly painful. If you have an ex-spouse, you probably have some sense of betrayal. Yeah. If you've had a friend that you counted on, I talked to this one gal this week. She had a friend who'd been a dear friend for 8 years, and they talked on the phone every day, and a coworker even. And this person, in trying to make herself look good, threw her under the bus. And it's just crushing. It's a crushing blow. So let me tell you this about that. Maybe this will help ease the pain of betrayal and ease you beyond betrayal. Have you ever had betrayal? Am I talking to the wind here? Has ever had that? Okay. Here's the thing. You have your spiritual path, your life path, your purpose. You came here for a reason. Whether you know what it is or not, you did. Half the time we don't know what it is we came here to do. We're just doing, right? And here comes somebody along in your life and haven't been here before, and all of a sudden here they are. Oh my gosh, your lives are parallel. You're walking along. Well, but here's the truth of it. If you have a line going this direction, and you have a line that intersects, for a while they kind of parallel. And then this one's got to veer off. And all along the journey, you may have some red flags, but it's so wonderful when they're in harmony. Sometimes it's with spouses. It's so good when it's good, and then when it starts to go bad, it goes bad, really bad. And some people will just drift out of your life. Have you ever noticed that? And they just drift away, and you just don't talk to them anymore, and there's no real issue. It just, you're doing your thing, and they're doing theirs, and it's not the same anymore. But sometimes there are people that when they veer off, they can't just let it go. They have to destroy what was. And it's not about you. It's about their need to destroy what was so they can move on in their own journey. In the meantime, there's this landmine that just destroys our path and is a huge pitfall for us at the time. It hurts like crazy. And the sad thing about it, and the hard thing about it, is sometimes that betrayal will cause us to set up patterns of thought that aren't true. I can never have any friends. No one is trustworthy. I'm doomed to live alone. I can't make friends. I have to keep my shields up. Have you ever told any of those things to yourself? Okay, you know they're a lie, but you believe them because in the moment they give you structure and give you balance so that you can move forward. But if we don't look at it, eventually, those lies keep us from loving and living. Those patterns of thought become hardwired, and we believe them to be true. How many people saw years ago the movie What the Bleep? Anybody remember that one? Oh, yeah. Okay. And you remember they were talking about patterns of thought. And if you have a certain power of thought, is this too loud? Am I echoey? Am I too echoey? Okay. I feel echoey. Just rolling around in my head here, I guess. I don't know. When you have a thought, there's energy, and it goes from one thing to another thing, and there's this energetic connection, and bzz, a thought happens. If you have that same thought over and 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 over, it almost becomes hardwired. So your body believes it to be true. Your brain believes it to be true, even if it's a lie. And we use those structures to help us get through and get over that turmoil that happened that caused us great sorrow. Make sense? So it's a self-defense mechanism. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless we don't address it, and then it remains an issue, and then it becomes a problem for us. Does that make sense? See ya! Have fun in the playroom. The rest of you stay seated. You may not go play with toys. No. Unless you just want to. I don't care. Go play with toys. So what are some other patterns of thought that we get stuck in because of trauma? What are some patterns of thought? Shout it out. I'm not good enough. How many have heard that one in your own head? Okay. What else? This is never going to get better. Heard that one? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir? It's my fault. It's not worth trying anymore. This is seriously the dumbest thing I've ever had to do. Okay. So how many people have heard that voice in your head? Do you like it? But we don't know how to dismiss it, do we? And so it lives there and haunts us and gets to us. I have this article, Health After 50. I'm after 50. There's a thing called persistent anxiety called GAG. GAG, GAD, G-A-D. It is generalized anxiety disorder. It's a thing.
Oh, Gad.
Oh, Gad. There's a Gad here. EGADS, there's a Gad. And some of the things it talks about is maybe you need medication, and maybe you need to change patterns of thought. But we don't know how to do that. Stop thinking that. Well, okay, how do we do that? Let me tell you how to do that. It's the coolest thing ever. The lady yesterday, Jill, she was so sweet. She said, I'm not going to tell you everything she said because, that would be disrespectful for the people that paid money to hear her. But she said something about, like, putting your mind on mute. That's not what she said, but, just asking the mind to just be quiet. I tell my mind to shut the F up. You got to get serious with this stuff. I swear to you, you got to do that. If I let my mind run, I would have the mother of all anxiety attacks that would last me 3 days. I don't want to live like that. I cannot afford one moment of that negative thinking. I can't. Life is too precious. My energy is too important to me. I have things I want to do. So I can't allow 1 minute of it. And sometimes it's there, it's haunting. And sometimes just telling yourself to shut the hell up doesn't work. There's a better way, an easier way to do that. And you already know it, but I'm just going to remind you because we forget. The mind is this beautiful search engine. It can be a wonderful servant, but it is a cruel and hateful taskmaster. Your heart is the powerhouse. Take back your power. And your mind goes, oh, okay. So if your brain is saying you're worthless, then your brain searches, it's a search engine, it will search for things to prove that to you. And guess what? You're going to serve yourself up that stuff. Because you know what we do? We're not perfect. So you're hardwiring this, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And then guess what? People will show up in your life to show you you're not good enough. Oh, I don't treat you good. Well, I must not be good enough. And you're hardwiring that even further. But the heart knows different. Your heart, the one I beheld, knows different. Your heart knows you are a precious child of light. You are divine in nature. And you make mistakes. Who doesn't? You're love incarnate. And you came here to manifest love. And your own special brand of doing that is your destiny. It's your path. And you could do it in a myriad of ways. And you may be already doing it and not know it. So taking your power back in your soul and divine source are connected. That's where prayer comes in. When we're connected in our soul, in our heart space, in the core of our being, and we say, teach me loving kindness, we see it in others and we see it in ourselves. And that little voice in our head shuts up. What is your heart searching for? What have you programmed your brain to deliver to you? If I allow my brain its own way, it will tell me all the things I did wrong. It will tell me all the stupid things that I'm capable of doing. And it will tell me why I should just give up. But the brain is not my boss. You're not the boss of me. My heart is the boss of me. And my heart says, suit up, show up. You got stuff to do, girl. You don't have time to be miserable. Suit up, show up. There are people who need kindness. So be the kindness that you want to be. Be the goodness. Be the kindness you want to be. Be it. You don't have time to be that. So this is where prayer comes in. Prayer is powerful. Because sometimes those wounds, those pains, those anguishes sit here. And when we have that anguish and that pain there, and it sits there, we shut down the heart space, and the brain takes over. And the brain is hardwired genetically to find problems. Because as cave people, we had to know what the problem was before it hit. I gotta look, is there a tiger around? I gotta be safe. Can I trust anybody? I don't think I could. I can't trust anything. That's hardwired into us. It takes power from the heart to override that genetic predisposition to finding fault, finding error, finding difficulty, and finding things to be afraid of. Heart space, heart space. Psalms 51. Create in me a clean heart, O God. That's a prayer. That's a prayer. Now let me tell you about prayer. Phil and I are praying people. We pray a lot. And it may not look like what normal people pray, but we're not normal, so that's okay. Most people pray the prayer of last resort. They just do their own lives until there's a crisis. Oh God, please make a difference. Please God, make it different. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm saying, God will hear that. God hears prayer. There's two things wrong with that. Negativity and fear. When we're coming from a place of negativity and fear, we're not in the right space to receive anything. Now that doesn't mean that God's grace doesn't transcend who we are and where we are. Oh, good grief. Haven't we all had a miracle now and then? Yeah. And usually it's because we're doing this thing. What if there was a different way to pray? Where the miracles were daily. Oh my gosh, miracles are just, they happen daily. And they're not just little, they're huge. And your prayers are, I'm getting out of I told Phil, pray for me, honey, because I need to calm down just a little bit. I get a little fired up about this. I'm fired up. When we pray in anguish, God hears that. I don't want you to misunderstand me. There's nothing wrong with praying when you're in anguish. With that said, if you pray when you're not in anguish, God hears that and the answers can be faster. Okay? Let me say that a different way. Let me give you an example. Instead of praying against something, if we're praying for something, then we're in a positive state of mind, we're in a positive heart, we've got this clean heart thing going on. Okay? And because this David wrote the psalm and said, create in me a clean heart, O God, that tells you our heart can get dirty, get cluttered. And it's usually from pain and trauma and hardship and sorrow. And so we can ask for that to be cleared away. And when we get in this place of a clear heart, oh my gosh, the prayers are different. So instead of, let's say you have an issue with significant other. Instead of praying, oh God, fix him, he's just all screwed up. What if you prayed, create in me a new, fresh love for this person, and help them find a new, fresh love for me? How different is that? How different is that? Sometimes when I have, negative thought patterns going, and I can move into this place of clarity, a clear heart, the miracles are so fast. It's unbelievable. One day, I was crabby at Phil. Phil couldn't do anything right. He was irritating. Every little thing was just like fingernails on a chalkboard. So he went to work. Thank God. That's a prayer. That's a prayer of anguish. Thank God he went to work. And so I was praying. I was like, create me a clear heart, oh God. This wasn't about Phil. This was about me. It was my relationship with Spirit and my heart space, my soul space. So I said, create me a clear heart, oh God. Bless me and help me get back on a positive train of thought, a positive mental space. Because I was not in a positive mental space. And sometimes that happens. I'm very sensitive to physical things as well as being spiritually sensitive. So if I eat something that has a lot of chemicals in it, sometimes that'll trigger energetic response that can feed this negative thought forms. And when that happens, I ask Spirit to, when my brain won't shut up because I command it to, good luck with that. When I get in a positive state of mind and I'm asking for Spirit to get me strength to get through this, it's just a sound in my head. Help me to translate that. Help me to find another way to be. And I was really not in a good spot. Heard the doorbell ring, thought it was my grandkid because he left something in the house, he was going to come get it. Went to the door. There was a person with flowers. My friend who lives in Montana had sent me flowers that arrived on my doorstep the minute amen came out of my mouth. Swear to you. Open the door. Here's these flowers. And in the card it said, I was thinking of you and thought you needed to pick me up today. I don't know about you, but that's goosebumps. That's a miracle. And miracles happen when we're in this clear heart state of being. And we can't get there when we've made the boss of us our brain. It's not the boss of us. Our heart is the boss of us. We have power here that links us to power there, that links us to power being brought to us. And if I'm starting on a mental loop, and I can pray about it in a clear heart space, all of a sudden I'll get a text. Just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate all you've done for me. Haven't seen this person in a while. And the endorphins rush in. And all of a sudden that voice gets a little quieter. And I get a little stronger. And then something else will happen, and I can go walk in nature. Another part of this, not the same article, different article says, while your pet is good for your health, go for a walk with your dog. It's wonderful for you. Be out in nature. Go stand and look at the sky, for heaven's sakes. But being in that heart space gives you a way to pray better, differently, in a way that empowers you and empowers the universe to bring to you exactly what you need now. So let's say you're having issues at work. What would that prayer look like? Well, that prayer could look like, help me be of service today. Help me find value in the work that I do, even if nobody else appreciates me. What are some other issues that we get hung up about? Help me out here. I have a story to tell you. While you're thinking, ponder that. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing. In everything give thanks, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Do not quench the Spirit. Do not despise prophetic utterances, but examine everything carefully. Hold fast to that which is good. When I first read that, at the time was very literal in my spiritual growth. So I prayed. Only I was praying the, oh dear God. I prayed the dear God prayer of panic. Prayed all day that way. Did that for about 3 days. I had the worst nightmare ever. I dreamed I was driving a church bus and ran over 3 nuns. I figured, maybe I'm not quite doing this right. Dreams are this wonderful feedback that you can get from your soul. But this pray without ceasing, everything, when your heart is clear, everything is run through divine source. And you can pray about everything all the time because you're connected all the time. Your power source is connected to power source. And you're being served up what your soul needs right now. And let's face it, we talked about this last week, or the week before. Spirit is relentless in keeping you on track. Relentless at giving you what your soul needs to wake you up. So guess what? Sometimes, if we're in this mode, it's going to be a real hard wake-up call. If we're here, Spirit can just give us what we need. So if we stay awake, that awakened, enlightened point of being, that's powerful because chapter 5, verse 8 talks about we're children of the light. But since we are of the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love. So to protect your heart, you put on the breastplate of faith and love. So what protects you from injury is love. What heals you from injury is love, coupled with faith, knowing that everything happens for your benefit, not to punish you, not to hurt you, not because you're unworthy, but because it's a lesson. It's brought here for your awareness so that you can become even clearer than you are right now. So if you're going through difficult times right now, put on this breastplate of love and faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. It's like CSI. You can't see it, but you can find the evidence of it. And if you're in this clear heart prayer mode, guess what? Your evidence is coming all the time. And it's self-fulfilling. It's self-sustaining. Because you're getting those miracles every day, several times a day. And they're powerful. Oh my gosh, Phil and I had this big, huge trauma. There's more to say about that. Should I tell you the trauma first? Yes, let me tell you the trauma. So they're doing construction behind our house. And that's been really traumatic. We lost 8 trees. 7 trees? 7? Broke my heart. They were pain in the butt trees, but still there were trees. Hard to see a tree go. And then they were going to put the fence on the property line, which was 4 feet below grade. So the houses were going to be up here, down a slope, and here was going to be a little 6-foot fence. I was like, this is not going to be good. So Phil calls and said, so what are you going to do with the fence? And they were telling him that, and he said, well, I don't think people that are going to live there are going to want to look down on our property. Oh, well, they can build another fence if they want to. I thought, they're spending quite a bit. And their condos and single-family dwellings and all that. Anyway, so we prayed about it. Next thing you know, they're bringing in big, huge stanchions. And we've got a 4-foot retaining wall. And then they're going to put a 6-foot fence on top of that. How wonderful is that? That's miraculous in my world. That's miraculous in my world. But we had to have faith. We didn't know what they were going to do, but we knew that we were being blessed, and it was all going to be good. Whatever it was, it's going to be good. And somehow they changed their mind about what they were going to do. I don't know how that happened. That's faith. And as a helmet, the hope of salvation. Hope is the key to this brain run. Diarrhea of the mind. And we know that's not pleasant. Huh? What? Oh, I hope not. Being recorded. Oh, I don't want to do this. So here's the deal. To break free, we need a clean heart. So that means we get to be clear and free of our past. That was then, this is now. And the judgments we made about our past may not be accurate. They may be hardened because we're so familiar with them. We drop down into our heart space, reclaim our power, and connect our power with divine power and ask, what's the truth? What's the truth? And our prayer then becomes, teach me to trust myself. Because I'll bet you, whenever there was a betrayal, there were red flags. But we didn't hear them. We didn't listen. Oh no, it feels so good. This is just wonderful. I'm going to trust this. Teach me to trust myself. Teach me to listen to myself. Teach me to be trustworthy. And then Spirit brings into your life people you can trust. Make sense? Make sense? Hope. Now here's the thing. I talk to people all the time who have trouble sleeping. There's a cure for that because the brain has taken over. Okay? There's no shame in that. It's doing what it needs to do because that's the program that's running. Okay, you're the boss. Do whatever you think is best. And it's gonna. And what it thinks is best is you've got to be on guard because there could be a saber-toothed tiger here. So you got to give it credit. It's just trying to protect you. But I learned this a long time ago when I was a kid. I started doing this. And then Phil showed it to me in that little parade magazine, you know, the Marilyn Van Sant. She's this really smart lady. She does mathematics and stuff. Somebody talked to her about sleeping. And so she reiterated it. And I'll share with you what she suggested. Have a daydream before you go to sleep. So what's the one thing you would love to see happen? You want to take a trip to Hawaii? Imagine Hawaii and the beautiful sun, and you can hear the music in the background, and see the water, and you feel the breeze. Next thing you know, you're asleep having beautiful dreams. Now my granddaughter was nearly abducted this last summer, a couple months ago. Traumatized, terrified. So she was having trouble sleeping. So I said, well, here, let's do this together. I said, this is what Grandma does. I want you to try it, and you can share this with your mom, and your mom can try this too. And I said, so let's go to a zoo. I'll go to a zoo, and then tomorrow I'll tell you what animals I saw. And you go to a zoo, and you tell me what you saw. So I talked to her the next day, and said, I went to the zoo, and I saw this big, tall giraffe. You remember on Facebook where there's a mama giraffe, and it's kissing the baby giraffe on the head? Do you love that? Okay, so this mama giraffe came and kissed my granddaughter on the top of the head, big smack, and said, stand tall, little one. And so I told her that the next day, and she was like, oh, that's so wonderful, Grandma. I went to the zoo too, and I saw a giraffe, but I also saw blah, 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 and I saw that. And she hasn't had any trouble sleeping since then. Create, give your heart space, tell your heart space, I would love a walk in the park. And then start visualizing that. That gives your brain work to do. Okay, worrying about that is not in the brain. That's not my task. I get to set that aside. Have you ever been told, well, you write it down, you write down your worries, or you imagine them being put up on a shelf? Been there, done that. It's just like, am I going to forget what's on the shelf? You know, have I got them in alphabetical order? I'm a Virgo. We worry about stuff that normal people don't. So try that. Imagine in your world what you would love to see happen. And as you're imagining that, you fall asleep. And then you sleep beautifully with a clear mind, and then Spirit can bring to you dreams that serve you and give you information rather than driving a church bus running over 3 nuns. That's a much better choice, don't you think? Anything else that I can help you with as far as a prayer? Sometimes finding the right wording is a challenge. I'm really good at finding the right words. Okay, well, I'll leave there to think about that. You can ask me later. Let's do, should we do a guided? Yeah, let's do a guided meditation now.